Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. David Carradine.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those hands were fast as lightning. Everybody was kung fu fighting.
That's something. Are you okay? David, that was very impressive.
Well, you know,
Wow, that was impressive.
my regular act.
Can you believe a man of 69 can do that, ladies and gentlemen?
68.
Well,
Give me a break.
I suppose at that age it does. Yeah, every year counts, of course.
Suppose I have to sit down, right?
Well, ideally, is that difficult now? It's lovely to meet you again. I met you once many years ago.
Yeah.
I've always admired you on TV and movies. Now, you've just phoned in from Los Angeles this very afternoon, I believe.
I cannot understand. I don't know what language you're speaking.
Well, you know, it's our language. You're the guys who have ruined it.
I speak American.
Yeah, but it's not... American's not a proper language, even, to be honest with you. It's a bastardized form of a noble,
As
beautiful...
Yoda might say, it will be. It will be.
I've got no idea what you're saying now. Oh, my dog. You're talking about Yoda, my dog?
Yeah, I
Okay.
know.
Do you
I
like
know.
dogs?
Yeah, I saw the footage.
Well, it's sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do you mean, yeah? He's got a broken foot. You have show a bit of heart, David.
I've got plenty of heart, you know.
Well, you're not going to share any with me and the dog?
Okay.
I don't.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's
Well,
so
you-
sad.
Now you're clearly faking it. All right? What are you over here for? You over here for a show of some
I
sort?
thought I was just coming to do your show.
Well, no, you're here. I know, and we're delighted. But you're actually doing something in Birmingham, I believe, this weekend. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but
Hold it. How did they get you to come over and you don't know what it is? What did they say to you?
money.
I believe it's a memorabilia show.
Yeah. What is that?
Okay, I'm going to warn you now what you're getting yourself into, okay? Memorabilia shows. I used to go to comic conventions a lot. I haven't been to an actual kind of pure memorabilia show. But normally it's fans of TV or music or comic books, that kind of thing, who turn up, and they're quite obsessive fans, many of them. You'll often find them coming dressed as their favourite characters.
Yeah, but you understand, I deal with this kind of thing on any street corner in the world all the time. It's not new to me. It's
So
just,
people come up to you, what do they normally say?
there's no normality about it.
What do they abnormally say?
Oh, you know, everything from, you know, calling me Grasshopper, which is actually incorrect. It was that little kid that was Grasshopper.
Yeah.
I was Cain.
You grew up to be...
Yeah, but
Cain.
actually, that's pretty much, I wouldn't say it's a thing of the past, but it's in the background now. It's,
Bill! Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Bill is a great role for you, of course.
Yeah.
but
Best
when-
I've ever had, I would say.
It was written expressly for you, wasn't it? I believe
Yeah.
Tarantino sat down and...
That's right. Well, he read my autobiography, Endless Highway, and I think he was reading it while he wrote. So he actually, Bill talks the way I write, not exactly the way I talk, you know, because he got a lot of ums and you-knows and stuff like that.
Like
But-
everyone, yeah.
Yeah, so it makes me sound a little more intellectual in his movie.
But that must be what kind of an honour, I guess, to know that someone likes your work or likes your presence enough to say, I'm going to shape this around you and I'm going to immerse myself in you, sort of thing, to make it work.
Well, Tarantino turns out to be maybe the best director I've ever worked with, and that's saying a lot, because I've worked with some seriously heavy guys.
Well, you've made some great movies. You've also made some immediately forgettable films, of course.
I try.
How many movies have you made, David?
I think 106.
Do you think you can remember all the films you've made?
Well, I write it down.
Yeah,
You know,
okay.
I would have to look.
I have a quiz for you.
You do?
Yeah.
All right.
I thought I would quiz you as to which films you've been in, and
Sure.
I've made a couple up.
All right.
All right? I'm going to read the title out and see if you know
Okay,
whether...
let me tell you something, though.
All right.
Sometimes they change the title.
Oh, don't start with that. All right, okay.
It's the truth.
All right. Little test, play along at home. Dead and Breakfast.
Yeah?
Yes, 2004. Well done. Mad for It.
What?
Mad for It. Like, you know, hey, I'm mad for it in Manchester. Happy Mondays. No?
Not a chance.
Correct, he was not in the film Mad for It. Dangerous Curves.
Yeah.
Yes, made in 2000. You're doing well.
In Ireland.
Well, you're doing well everywhere. I mean,
That's where I made
I
that
see,
film.
I'm sorry. Dead Lucky.
No.
Knocking on Death's Door.
Yeah.
Yes! High Tea with a Lady.
What? I don't think
High
so.
tea with a lady.
I don't think so.
You sure? You sure that isn't what they call Death Race 2000 over here?
No, they call Death Race 2000 Death Race 2000.
That was a great film, wasn't it? That was a great film. No, you never made High Tea with a lady. Angel with a limp. Well, don't laugh, you give it away.
I would love to have.
That's a good title for a film, isn't it? Angel with a limp. Well done, man. You got the complete 100% correct there. I think a round of applause. That was most impressive. Now, you've had what we would call a wild life. I mean, you had years where you were maybe boozing a bit more than was sensible. You've done, how many acid trips have you done, LSD trips?
I have no idea.
In the hundreds, I believe, isn't it?
1,000.
Wow, 1,000. And yet you still appear to be compos mentis, and you can remember certainly that you never starred in Angel with a Limp. So presumably you're fairly lucky to have survived all that, I would have thought.
That's probably true. I am lucky that way, but I'm lucky a lot of ways.
Do you regret any of it, or was it all kind of part of the journey? Was it useful?
Regret? I kind of try to stay away from that whole thing. If I didn't do one thing, then this other thing wouldn't have happened.
Well, I mean, a career like yours is kind of difficult to pin down in a way for someone looking from the outside, because you have this huge hit on TV with Kung Fu back in the mid-70s. You worked with Scorsese in that same decade, have a huge hit there. Then there's a period where you kind of like, you're floating in and out, you have some hit movies, others that don't work so well. It's
Well,
kind of a strange career.
I walked out of Kung Fu.
When was
the
that,
show was never
75?
canceled. I just left. I never signed a contract, so I could do that. And then I made a few studio pictures, and then I discovered this thing about exploitation movies or independent movies, whatever you want to call them. Some of them were great, and some of them, they'd say, we give you $50,000 for 2 days, and I said, yeah, and I just read the part of the script that I was in. I didn't even know what the movie was about.
Yeah. So sometimes it really was just a kind of quick cash deal, something you wanted to do. But there must have been
I
more.
was trying to finance my own movies, which is something that you're not supposed to do. But since you're not supposed to do it, I decided I would do that.
Let's talk about Kung Fu a little bit then, because this was a huge part of your life. You walked away from it, and it was still really at the top of its game. I mean, it was just a phenomenal success, wasn't it? And looking back at it, I mean, I love the series. They're out on DVD. I've watched them on DVD. It was kind of odd that it came from a big broadcast. I think it was CBS made it in the States. Was that right?
ABC.
ABC. I think it was ABC that made it in America. But it was at heart, it was a pacifist show, wasn't it?
It became that. When we were first doing it, I killed people, but the FCC said I couldn't do that, and we had these fights that would end up with me killing someone, and they'd cut them. And so we finally had a meeting, and I said, look, we're wasting our time, so why don't we just do it the way they wanted to do it? And I said, why don't we make that the point, that he won't kill people? And so it was kind of, actually, the government caused us to make it into a peace show.
And that's
but
strange.
That was not the idea. It was totally action, killing, blood and guts.
But even then, I remember as a kid watching it, you knew that was his philosophy. You knew that Kwai Chang Caine was going to walk through it and didn't want to get involved, didn't want to lower himself down to the level of physical altercation. But at the same time, you were really excited and waiting for the last 5 minutes of the show when he would kick the shit out of someone for the last few minutes.
Well, the thing was, the FCC said that we could only have 2 minutes of fighting. And the network said we had to have 2 fights per segment. So we'd have a little one at the beginning where I come in and ask for a glass of water and somebody tries to kick me. And
they'd normally be rude or racist or something.
Yeah, and I just very quickly throw them over the bar or something, usually in slow motion.
That's right.
And
so
then,
it felt longer.
And then we save the rest of it.
Oh, that was a long journey sometimes. I'd be sitting there saying, go and kick someone, please. And you do it in the slow motion, of course, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I didn't actually do the work in slow motion.
But did you... David Hasselhoff runs in slow motion, I believe, in Baywatch sometimes.
I think that was an effect, too.
Let's have a look. This is, obviously, we're not going to show one of the boring bits. This is the 2 minutes of fighting you had to wait for. This is Kung Fu from sometime in the early 70s. great stuff. And you see there, though,
I sure was
Kane got
pretty,
lucky.
wasn't I?
You were a very handsome young man, weren't you? Well, you're not a bad-looking fella now. You're 69. You're still looking pretty good. H. Kane got lucky in that fight, though, didn't he? He wasn't beating the ninja. The ninja was beating him, and then the ninja fell and hurt his head on a rock.
Well, that's how we tried to get around the FCC thing.
So he was peaceful. He didn't kill the guy.
Yeah.
The guy stupidly killed himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. The spiritual side of Kung Fu, even though it was a network television show, and we know obviously it had regulations and restrictions placed upon it, it did seem to have a message, and it did seem to be a kind of a spiritual side to it, which was obviously part of the appeal. Was that, once again, was that you? Was that already in the show?
A lot of it was me. A lot of it was this guy named Jerry Thorpe, who was pretty much the creator and the mentor of the show, and the guy who hired me, for that matter. Certainly didn't have anything to do with the network.
And you wrote a book after the event, didn't you? A kind of a book about the spiritual side of martial arts, I guess.
Well, that was the thing. You know, I had actually taken up Kung Fu as a lifelong thing. And my master, Cam Ewan, whom I met on the show, he came to me once and he said, I want you to write this book about the Kung Fu philosophy because everybody's got it wrong. And he said, I could write the book, talking about him. But he said, who'd read it? But he said, if you write it, they'll read it. And so I said, okay. I mean, if your master tells you to do something, you have to do it.
Your sensei, you have to do it.
Okay.
Now, I've had a look through the book, The Spirit of Shaolin, and there are 12 lessons in it, some of which I understand, some of which I don't. Some of it seems to make perfect sense. It's like philosophy that you kind of...
This is the stuff I won't remember.
Oh, well, I've got it here. Number 1 of the 12 lessons of Shaolin, follow the heart. That makes sense.
Sure.
Number 2, there are no secrets. I'm not sure about that. What does that... Any idea what that means?
There are no secrets.
That's what it means. 3, laugh at the cleverness of the beast, and the beast will defeat itself.
Well, this also works with witches. They try to hex you. All they have to do is laugh at them, and it doesn't work.
So humor can undercut a threat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Although, if you're in a town square in Manchester, stay on a Saturday night and there's a drunk bloke running up you, run first, laugh later. Love, in the pain of its loss, is finally gained for the first time. I think I understand that. You don't know what you have until sometimes it's gone, and then you appreciate it fully.
Love is a blind man who sees when he dies.
David Blunkett, tying his dog to the young lady's boat, then he gets in big trouble. That's what you mean. This one doesn't make a lot of sense to me, I'll be honest with you, David.
Okay.
I'll make this the last one. If you can solve this one for me, then you are
Sure.
indeed the master. Kindness is cruelty. Cruelty is kindness.
Well, let's see. How can I do this? If you know something is wrong with somebody or something or everything, and you don't say that, you're doing a disservice to that
Okay.
person or that situation, or maybe to the whole world. On the other hand, if you are cruel enough to, like, force people to see
Gotcha.
what the truth is,
Yes.
I don't need to go any further, right?
You've gotta be
Because
cruel.
we could be here for an hour doing this.
Well, we don't need to say that long. We have the message. You've got to be cruel to be kind. But if you said it that way, we'd have got it straight away. You see, you dressed it all up.
I'm trying to be a little poetic.
Well,
The other thing is I'm trying to get you interested in reading the next paragraph, which would explain it.
I could go on all night. I feel I've learned. I feel I've grown. And yet, I'm aware I have taught myself. I think we are both masters.
I'll give you that.
Hey, listen, I hope you enjoy the weekend at the Memorabilia Fair. You're going to be there in Birmingham on Saturday and Sunday, I think. Then you're back here, and then you're going somewhere else? Where else are you going in the UK?
Swindon.
Yeah. And Swindon is beautiful this time of year, so
Yeah, right.
you knock yourself out there. Ladies and gentlemen, David Carradine. Thank you so much. That was excellent. Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, sign me up for it.
Yeah, okay.
David Carradine, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, sir. Oh. Well, what a character, eh? What a character. Unbelievable. Can you believe? A man in his late 60s jumping around up and down, strong as an ox.
Try and follow that.
He's thrown down the gauntlet. That's the master.